today's episode, I'm going to be ranking the best AI sermon clip generators that I could find on the market or by, doing a quick Google search. I'm going to go as far as these services will let me before I hit a paywall, and then I'm going to rank and score them in my 3 custom tiers that I've created, and I'll tell you which one I determined that I like the best. Oh, and hey, down below, check out the gear guide, which will help you set up how to start capturing your sermons live. It's a part of our seasonal social media pack, whether it's on your cell phone, whether it's with a webcam in the back, how to capture audio, as well as my generator recommendation. Welcome everybody to the Hybrid Ministry Show. Well, hey everybody, welcome back to the Hybrid Ministry Show. And before we dive into the generator ranking, there are chapters down below, so if you want to jump ahead to that, you can. But a bit of context, in my seasonal social media pack and my completely free ebook, I have been a proponent of somehow regurgitating your message content. And for the longest time, we've done pre-recorded sermons in our own context and in our own ministry. That's very similar to this, sitting down direct to camera and making a video for YouTube, paying editors and all the things. But recently, a trend of live clips have become a little bit more, all the rage, I guess you could say. And I want to let you know, one of the reasons that I've started considering sermon clips as a little bit more of a viable option is Brady Shearer. He said social media is now 93%, this from Meta, but he's just, I got this from him. He's regurgitating it. 93% of what you see on Instagram or on Meta are from people that you don't follow. And so he goes, every single time you're online, you're asking yourself a series of questions, one of which is this real, right? With the rise of AI, you see videos and you have to wonder and consider to yourself, is this AI or can I trust this video? And he said there are some inherent advantages that churches have because there are certain things that you watch and you see and it's real. He compares live sports clips. You watch something on Instagram that's from a live sports clip, whether it's NFL or NBA or whatever your sport of choice is, oh, this is from a real moment. He said stand-up comics also have this. So stand-up comedy on social media is also a really great way. And the third kind of area that can kind of lean into that, is it real? And it just inherently tells people's brains this is from a real moment, is from a live church service or experience. And so you can continue to pre-record your messages, especially if you've been doing it. But I want to talk a little bit about the pros and the cons of live versus recorded, and then get into my journey through the best AI sermon clip generator. So live versus pre-recorded, the pro of doing a live stream capture is, it, aside from figuring out your gear, which you are going to have to figure out the gear, again, link down below, gear guide, we'll get into that in just a minute. Aside from figuring out the gear, it doesn't require anything else extra from you. So once you get your gear set up to capture a live stream of your sermon, whether you're doing that, whether you're getting someone from your tech team to figure that out and help you out in your context, all you got to do is prep your message, which you're already doing, and then get up and present it in front of your students, which again, you're already doing. If you're doing like we've been doing, a pre-recorded version of your message, it requires some extra prep, requires extra setup, requires extra editing, require extra cost, whatever the other requirements are, it requires those things of you. And so that's one of the pros. The other pro, like I said, Brady is saying your brain on social media is asking, is this real? It satisfies that question better than a pre-recorded message does. All right. Now let's get into the cons a little bit. So some of your decent gear options are still going to be quite expensive. The barrier to entry is rather high in order to get in at a decent level. We have some gear recommendations in our context that we use. My friend David Carpenter, you can see some of what he does over here on social. I think he's actually a wizard. Included in my link, it's all down there. He gives some recommendations of what he does. I also have a cell phone option with just a clip-on camera option. But let me give you the editing math, right? So in our context, we pre-record and then we pay for an editor, right? So you might save a little bit of money by putting your cell phone up in the back of the room, but if you do splurge for a little bit better of a camera, I want to say we found an editor over on Fiverr, and he charges us far more than $5 per project. I pay about $700 per video series, which is about per month. Okay, so average out about $700 times 12 months worth of content. We're paying like $8,400 per year on editing. So we can sit down to a cell phone, direct to camera, and then send that off to an editor and pay in the neighborhood of $8,000 per year. It is a steep bill, and I will not discredit that at all. I used to do all the editing myself in order to free up my time to be a better pastor and less of an editor. We ended up shipping that off, and praise God that I go to a church that is willing and sees the sacrifice of that and the value of that, and so they're willing to come alongside and budget for that. Okay, all that being said, like, this isn't a compare moment. I just want to give you a little bit of context. Now, let's say you drop $1,000 or maybe $2,000 on some new gear, whether that be tripods, whether that be cameras, whether that be mounted webcams back in the room, whatever your solution is. Let's say you spend in the neighborhood of $1,000 to $2,000. Okay, you can go cell phone camera route, but if you do want to come in with a little bit better quality, go a little bit more on the front end. You're coming out ahead on my annual editing cost per year, and then you have the infinite ability to create these clips once you've spent a little bit of money on your hardware on the front side, okay? The other kind of like con in this to consider is you can't manipulate your schedule quite as well, right? So for example, in our context, we pre-record all of our messages way ahead of time, get them to an editor, get them done early. We're out ahead. It helps for a lot of reasons. We get our messages done when we're going to preach live in the room. The content's already written. We just got to do a little bit of, manipulation. The timelines are way out in advance. It helps us be like on top of things, ahead of things. It also gives you an opportunity to practice it or rehearse it live to camera. Okay. The other thing it does is we can post, and we make this promise to our small group leaders who may or may not be in the room on Wednesday night. Most of them are not, to be able to watch the message and then be able to prep their, small group discussion based off of said message for Sunday. We say that message will arrive on our website first thing Monday morning. And so we can manipulate that schedule. If you switch to more of a live stream, you can't manipulate your schedule quite as well. So for example, we would record it on Wednesday night, live stream, and have to ensure that it gets up on the website, Thursday morning, first things first. Okay. And so all that to be said, it's a lot more difficult, in my personal opinion, to manipulate the schedule. You can see how that plays out. The other con, I would say, and I don't know how much this matters, but when you have a live stream and you're at a church and you have maybe some lower thirds, sermon or titles or pastor titles or scriptures or whatever, if you then take that stream and you clip stuff, you can't get rid of the lower third stuff. And on one hand, I think that looks terrible, but on the other hand, I watch a lot of sports commentary, Michael Wilbon, Stephen A. Smith clips from ESPN's First Take, and those lower thirds, they don't give two craps about it. They still just clip it and just make it happen. So maybe my personal preference is that I don't think it looks good, but maybe on the other hand, I still consume clips with lower thirds clipped up. Maybe it's not that big a deal after all, right? Let's talk about pre-recorded. The pros, of course, they're editable, so you can mess up infinite amount of times. You can control the length. If you're long and you're I want to shorten this, you can actually edit for content, not just edit for editing's sake. It's direct to camera, which I've always thought is valuable for reaching a YouTube generation. But if we're on social media and we're asking ourselves, is this real? It might actually turn out to become a con moving forward, and we might be in a bit of a shifting landscape as evidenced by our last video linked right up here at the top screen. We talked about that in the very beginning. And then, of course, the con of that is it is expensive. I've gone through the math already. And it can also be time consuming if you choose not to pay an editor and you yourself are the editor. And so, of course, those are some cons, okay? Now, all that to be said, let's look at some of these different sermon clips, whether you're pre-recording or whether you're live. And here are some of the non-negotiables that I'm looking for in a good sermon clip. Number one, you have to have captions. I can't remember the exact percentage, but a wide and large percentage of people watch things on social media without any volume. So you need to have captions. If you don't have captions, you're going to eliminate an entire segment of your audience. Second, I think it's helpful and valuable, maybe not necessary, to have a watermark or an end card that gives some sort of call to action, how people can subscribe, how people can like, how people can go watch the longer version of this. I also think it's good to start the video with like a context header. Like you're dropping them into the middle of a sermon, help them understand what it is you're talking about right when they get in, so that also is a good hook for like scroll stopping and stuff like that. And then music and B-roll, like sometimes just a talking head just by itself is a little bit boring. Even if you're watching this here on YouTube, you'll see I've put in a lot of different B-roll. Why? Because I want to be able to help you guys like not lose attention. And so the same is true as you're sending out clips. And so we're looking for an AI generator that you can maybe like add some music, maybe do some B-roll. Of course, you don't need those things. You can, download them and then throw them into some sort of editor like TikTok or even like Adobe Premiere Pro or DaVinci Resolve. And you can add those things manually after, but it is a whole nother step. So without any further ado, let's dive into, and again, reminder, link down below is my guide to all of this for gear, for how to link your audio, and then finally, my recommendation for the best AI sermon clip generator. Let's dive into tier number 1, which is stuck at a paywall. I found Descript, and it looks pretty good. The ease of it is about, I would give it like a 3 out of 10 or so. Customization, not applicable because I wasn't able to actually get past any sort of paywall with this one. My clips were stuck or it was too big of a file to do it. But then the cost ended up being about $288 in order to have access to this. The other one was VIDIQ, which I've had experience using before, and I find a very reputable company, to be completely honest with you. Seems easy. However, I think this is actually AI created videos, not edited by AI. And so the cost in order to unlock this looked like it was about $204. And so again, I'm not sure this is going to get us exactly what we're looking for. If you're in the church space, you've maybe heard of this one before, Sermon Shots. The ease, it looked pretty easy. 5, I would give it a 5 or so based on the interface that I was able to see. And again, if I paid for it, it probably would be even higher, ease level. The cost ended up being about $479.88. I want to be clear that this is stuck behind a paywall. I was given 2 free clips, but then I need to schedule a mandatory Zoom call in order to unlock those clips. And so, like I said, I'm sure you can bypass that by just outright paying for it. And I also want to be clear that you get more than just the AI edited videos. You also get transcript, you get podcast audio, and you get some other assets to go along with it. So it is expensive, but it does do a lot more for you in the Sermon Shot platform. And then finally, Clap. Bro, I got an email actually right before I was ready to do this video, and I was like, oh, sweet, let me try that out. I tried it out, tried to sign up for it, and I never got like the confirmation email. Waited. Later on that night, I was like, oh, it's probably in my spam. I found it, I clicked, and it was not, the link had expired. And so then I sent an email back to the lady who had like sent me the email in the first place. I've been waiting all week to try and get an email back because this is actually one of the cheapest options I was able to find. And I still haven't heard anything back. So I'm stuck in maybe not a paywall loop, but some other sort of loop. And the cost for 10 clips, if you pay monthly, it's $348. For 30 clips or 30 different like uploads monthly, it's $948. If you do 10 a month, but you pay annualized, it's $168. So much cheaper. And then finally, for 30 and you pay annualized, it's $468. So this $168 from Clap, assuming you do need like 10 a month, which if you do 4 sermons per month or 5, is well within that window. I really am interested and wanted to explore it, but again, I wasn't able to get logged in. Let me give a couple of honorable mentions. Canva, again, very similar to VidIQ. I think it's AI generated videos, and once I kind of got into it, I realized I could upload my entire video, but then it's like I'm genuinely editing it. Customization is a 10 because you can infinitely edit in Canva, and the cost for churches, if you apply for the nonprofit, of course, is free. But if you're going to just outright edit things when in basically an editor, why not use something that's built for editing? Canva has that built in, but it's a secondary feature, I would say. And so if you're going to just be editing videos, you might as well use CapCut, DaVinci Resolve on desktop, which is free, or one-time cost, or even just like TikTok, an in-app editor. Sermon Multiplier. I got a email last year about Sermon Multiplier for DYM Platinum members. You could use it for a minute, and so it's really easy. I've uploaded it. Customization is low. I'd give it like a 1 or 2 on customization because you can't edit like the fonts or too many things. However, it is a decent service and it does a decent job. Cost is $39.96 monthly. Half a year is $215, and then for a full year it's $383.90. So again, I'm not exactly sure how all the credit structure tends to work, but here's an example here on screen. You can see what a sermon multiplier clip might look like from a live stream sermon. Pulpit AI is another option, and again, pretty easy. Here's an example of a clip you can see from a webcam in the back of our room. Costs are as follows: $468 for 5 a month paid monthly, $708 for 10 a month paid monthly, $421 for 5 a month paid yearly, or 10 a month for $637 paid yearly. And then probably my runner-up in all of this is Captions AI. It's very easy. For $9.99 or annualized $19.88 or $24.99 for annualized $299. A couple different like tier options here. You'll see this is a clip. I used to actually be a subscriber of Captions AI. If you did a live stream, you probably couldn't get rid of the lower thirds bar. And then on the customization side of thing, they have a lot of different options, but those are the options. And so they create like a vibe and an aesthetic, but it does a good job at adding sounds and zoom ins and zoom outs and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, my favorite, and it's actually been one I've been riding with all along, is OPUS.PRO. It's very easy, very customizable. You can add all the things I'm looking for: a hook, caption, ender screen, music, B-roll. There's even probably more than I don't even mess with. I actually share it with another couple ministries in our church. We've never run out of clips, and it only cost me $174 for the year. And so there's a lot of like Christian options, but honestly, like those tend to be a little bit more expensive. Opus seems to be a little bit the industry standard. And so that is, spoiler alert, that is my winner. And so if you go download my gear guide, which is gear I recommend or my friend David recommends, and how to capture audio either out of your soundboard or from different style microphones. And then if you invest one time in that gear and then pay annually $174, you can include Opus for your best sermon generator. And part of my seasonal social media pack, which is also available, linked down below in the show notes, I say use sermon clips. Now, you don't have to use sermon clips. If you don't want to spend, say, $2,000 one time on gear and then $174 annually, and then, of course, $4 per month to become a Hybrid Hero member of my Hybrid Hero Patreon tier, where you get the seasonal social media pack every single time it drops, you can just hold your video selfie style and do some devotional related content. But I think that sermons are real, like Brady said. They satisfy that answer in your brain, and they help your viewers know this is from something real. And as youth pastors, we're already doing it. We're already creating sermons, so why would we not repurpose that content so that we can reach more students with the good news and the benefit of the gospel? Again, all that stuff linked down below in the show notes. Thank you guys for being here. If you found this episode helpful, leave a like, leave a comment, leave a review, share it with a friend. But until next time, and as always, don't forget, stay hybrid.